Welcome back to today's podcast. How are you doing, Arlene?
I'm stressed. Good though.
We are 2 weeks into the new administration, which probably explains some of our stress, along with general life. But yeah, so we have lots of things going on right now.
Yes. Valerie's a fiance.
Yes.
She is a fiance. Gonna be a wifey.
I'm so excited. Chris's sister sent us a lovely care package, and so I'm drinking my matcha from Holy Matcha in my beautiful white cup. It says girlfriend that's crossed out, and then it says fiance in like cute cursive. I love it.
Did she make that herself?
She sent it to us like on Amazon. It had like one for me and then a black version for Chris. It says boyfriend, fiance. And then it came with aprons, and my apron, it says girlfriend crossed off, and then it says future wifey.
Aww.
And then his says boyfriend crossed off, future hubby. I was
Cute.
like, yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. And then one of my other friends sent me a bouquet of flowers. So I'm like, I'm feeling all the love.
Cute. It's like, oh, it is February.
It is.
Perfect time to get engaged and be in your like fiance era honeymoon phase.
Yes, I love it. He proposed on January 25th, which was during the planetary alignment.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, so it worked out. He wanted to propose a couple times apparently, but I'll have to tell you the backstory.
Oh, okay. He needed the whole planets to line up, like a miracle to happen, and be like, all right, fine, I can do this now.
Yeah, mostly his friends, maybe like one of mine, or his relatives were like, it's about time. And so now our joke is like, we were waiting for the planets to align.
Yeah, all the stars. I love it.
But yeah, so today's episode, we're going to be talking about the cycle of coffee. So I have everything on my phone outlined. So I'm just going to be looking down at my phone a lot throughout. But we'll just jump right into it. So the reason why we're talking about the cycle of coffee is because obviously for Surje Coffee, coffee is like the means to an end. It's the fuel that we're using to bridge connections, to build community. So it's a lot more than just coffee as a commodity, as like this thing that you buy. It's more of like what coffee does for us. And there's this whole cycle that goes on, but kind of behind the scenes, because most consumers don't really know where coffee comes from unless you are like actually really into coffee and then you deep dive into it. But for the most part, no one knows. And so hopefully this episode will help create a little bit more of a connection, a little bit more information to the coffee that we're serving, because, you know, for us, especially being Mexican and Armenian, like coffee is just central to our families. Like anytime that we're getting together, more often than not, there's going to be coffee there. Mm-hmm. It's the one guarantee for sure. When I'm going to Chris's parents' house, I always know I'm having coffee.
Yeah. It's a big cultural thing in the Middle East too. Because my uncle, we went to go visit him. He's married to my Latina aunt.
Nice.
But he's Persian. And I go and visit, and I was like, he's like, hey, do you want a cup of coffee? And I'm like, no, I can't, because I can't handle caffeine after a certain, time. And he like guilted me into like me having a cup of coffee. And I was like, okay. Like I couldn't say no.
Yeah,
like, it
no.
was like, you're drinking my coffee. I don't care. And I was like, all right, yes, sir.
Yep. It's a huge thing. And it's, kind of like with Latinos or the grandmas, you go over to the house and like, oh, do you want something to eat? Whatever. You can't turn it down.
Yeah. No, my grandma would be like, you're eating it. I don't care. All right.
I don't care if you're full, you're having your 5th entree.
Yeah. Now eat it. I was like, all right.
Yes. So anytime we're going to Mexican, Armenian, Middle Eastern type of families' homes, be prepared. You will more than likely have coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have decaf, although it's a newer trend. We are getting Chris's family onto decaf. So at least now, like when we're having Armenian coffee, we usually have an option of having a decaf version.
Do they have? Yeah. So Armenian coffee, is that the style of it, or?
Yes. So Armenian coffee is made in this copper pot on the stove. It's a small little pot. It's also similar to Turkish coffee. In Turkey, it's called an ibrik, but in Armenian, I'm hoping I'm correct on this one. So if I'm wrong, let me know. It's called a jezve, and you put in very, very fine coffee grinds, almost like espresso. Usually finer than espresso grinds, like powder, like instant coffee almost. And so you put in a little bit of that. You put in some water. Sometimes, and every family has their own little recipe, their own system method of doing it, and everyone will argue that theirs is the best. But basically you put the coffee grinds in there with some water, you heat it up, you want it to bubble a little bit, and then this is the part where every family will have their own. Some people will say like you let it drop down and then you let it bubble again. Some families are like you need to let it bubble twice or whatever, and then you add in a little bit of your sugar. Some families will add in cardamom, so very traditional like Armenian spice to put in there. And you let it settle for a little bit, because the grinds are so fine that it kind of creates almost like a sludge. So you want all that to come to the bottom of the jezve, and then you're pouring literally an espresso shot worth, and
all that.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you get. And trust me, that's all you need. You do not need a whole lot of that kind of coffee, because it is pretty strong usually. It's just the brew style. And then there's this really cool tradition in Armenian culture when you're having coffee in the daytime. Typically, they don't do it at night, but in the daytime, they will read the coffee grinds as if like fortune telling kind of.
Oh, yeah. Like when they read the tea leaves.
Yes. Yeah. So in Armenian culture, they'll read the grinds and they'll give you like, you take your espresso cup, you turn it upside down so that the sludge will kind of run and create textures, shapes, whatever. They'll read it for you. And then that's the first part of the reading. And then you take your thumb into the cup and you do like a little fingerprint, and you're supposed to like lick the coffee off of your finger, because it's like your fortune or whatever. Or your future, I guess, that they're telling. And they'll give you like a second part of the reading. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
And you said, didn't you say Chris's mom does that?
Yes, Chris's mom does it. He's actually really good at it, but he doesn't, I don't know. He's like, I'm no ubu, but he's really good at it.
Oh, I'm all, Chris, can you do me a reading, please?
I know. I should have them both do just a weekend of readings at the coffee shop. Yeah, I think that would be fun, especially because we're in El Cajon and there's a huge, there's a mix really, but there's a huge Chaldean community, a lot of Middle Eastern community Arabic, which is similar to Armenian. So, we should invite them and invite everyone, because his mom's really good at reading cups.
Ooh, I've never had that done.
Yeah, it's fun. So this episode is just for you to think about, like, when was the last time you thought about where your coffee came from? And not just from, the tin that it's in, but actually where it came from. So where it all begins, obviously, coffee is a plant. So it begins in the cultivation and the harvesting of it. So it's a plant, meaning that we had, just like farming, just like having your own homestead, herbs, whatever it is that you're growing, there's this relationship between the land and the people who cultivate it. And especially right now, we're not seeing the value put into farmers there, and especially like the harvesters as well. These are kind of the people that we think of last, which is funny when you think about it, because they're the ones that start it all. Without them, we would not have the cups that we're drinking today. And so the magic of coffee farms really comes usually from high altitude. Sometimes it'll come from rich volcanic soil. So like Hawaii tends to be a really good producer because they have a lot of volcanic soil.
I don't think I've seen coffee come from Hawaii.
Oh yes, they're usually called Kona coffee.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Oh yeah, now I remember, I think it's when I went to Oahu or Maui, they had a coffee thing. Yeah,
there's a couple of different farmers. The one that I know of from Hawaii is, I think they're called Mismalani, and that one is I don't remember if it's Mexican owned, but it is Latino owned. And the daughter took over the farm after I think they had like deported her dad, who was the one in charge of the farm initially. And then she took it over. And the reason I'm sharing that story right now is because right now we're in the era of apparently mass deportations, which I think is stupid. But anyways, so it's probably something we'll see in a lot of different lives and chapters and industries as we progress in our society. Unfortunately. Yeah, it's fun times to be alive.
I know, right?
But yeah, so going back to like the story of the farmers and stuff, that's kind of why ethical sourcing matters, because you want to know, where is it coming from? Is it coming from these farms that have been passed down in generations from one family to the next, you know, like the grandma to the son to the cousin, whatever it's going, it's staying within the family generations usually. But there are other instances where outside investors will come in and they will buy a farm for whatever reason. There are also instances where multiple farmers will get together and kind of create their own co-op. And so, you know, there's just power in numbers. And so getting together with other farmers also allows you to put all of your resources together. So when you're working with a plant, similar to how like wine with grapes, your harvest is going to vary from year to year because nature, climate change, just things are different. And when you partner with other farmers and you creating this co-op, maybe you'll get like better lot sizes, or you guys can share tips and tricks of how to keep the plants healthy. You can share collective money resources on the processing side of coffee. So like, and I'm jumping ahead a couple steps here, but like when you pick the coffee off of the trees, it goes through a processing method, and they can be very expensive. And a lot of time these farms tend to be in countries that are not as well financed as like the United States. So think countries like, I mean, obviously Mexico right now is the forefront of my mind because we just had tariffs implemented on Mexico, and we do have quite a bit of coffee that comes from Mexico.
Right. You mean Surje Coffee?
We just in general, as like an industry, there are, and especially right now, I feel like in recent years, Mexico has had a lot of spotlight on the coffee, because actually the coffee is quite good. Right. And for whatever reason, most people don't think of Mexican coffee as good. I have no idea why, but
I like me some café de olla.
Yeah, so good. And I mean, in Mexico, like we said earlier, coffee is a huge part of the culture. But yeah, so we have coffee coming from Mexico. You have coffee coming from Brazil, from Ethiopia, from Guatemala, from Colombia. Like you have so many different origins of where this coffee is coming from. They all have their own little climates. They all have their own different soil, their own different methods of processing coffee. And so as we like dive deeper into this, you can kind of, you'll taste the differences when you're doing tastings, proper tastings of them. And, you know, it all goes back to the plant. The plant will take on the environment that it's in.
I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, I know people aren't really big fans of coffee sometimes, and I get it. The caffeine just doesn't work for everyone. But when you think about it, like there's so much love and labor that goes into these things. And the coffee itself, which is a fruit in a way, does take on all of these little characteristics from what's being put into it. Kind of like the cacao that you're drinking. Like, I don't know where this one is from, but it'll have different notes.
I believe it's from Mexico.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like this cacao from Mexico will have different flavors and notes than like cacao from Peru. So and even within like Peru, if it's on a high altitude versus a low altitude place that kind of have their own microclimates, it will also affect the flavor. Right. So these are just little nuances between like from the very, very beginning stages of cultivating and harvesting. And I forget exactly how many years it is, but even when you like first plant a coffee tree, you usually won't get any harvest from it for, I think it's like 3 or 4 years. So you're also planning, I guess, kind of crop cycling in a way. You're planning your land out so that you can plant all these trees on one like cycle. They'll give fruit, and they only give fruit for like a certain portion of their lifetime. So then after it's done giving fruit, you're going to like chop that down and plant again. And so you'll have usually rows like, okay, these are the areas. It goes into
menopause too.
Oh my God. It's all a cycle.
Yeah.
When you think about like connecting to nature, it's all cyclical.
So is cacao feminine or a masculine plant?
That's a really great question. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know which energy coffee would be.
Well, I know cacao is feminine energy. I don't know that. Yeah. Interesting, because I do feel like cacao, from what I've learned about, and coffee, is like a lot of the crops from Central America to South America to Mexico. They were cacao farms initially, and then they took away the cacao, and then they planted a lot of these coffee farming places on the same land that used to be cacao. But I don't know. I feel like it feels a little more masculine, because you do get that like urge of energy, right, when you drink your coffee. So. But yeah, if any of you know, let us know.
Yeah, that would be a fun one to dive into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also think coffee would be more masculine. It just feels, I don't know why, it feels that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, great question. But yes, so for coffee, when you're thinking about where you're buying it, especially from specialty coffee places, it's a lot easier usually for you to tell, but where they're sourcing it from really matters. Lately in the specialty coffee industry, we're getting more visibility just because people are like, they're tired of farmers not getting their proper praise. And so now there's a lot more transparency, and you can usually see where this coffee is coming from. If it's coming from sustainable farms, if it's coming from woman-owned farms, if it's coming from co-ops, you can usually tell where all of these things are coming from. And we work with a third-party importer that has these direct connections to the farms. And we came in and we asked them a whole bunch of questions in the beginning, because it's really easy to just like buy stuff online and not really care about where it's coming from. But having a couple more questions of like, hey, do you know these farmers personally? How do you pay these farmers? Like, what is the relationships you have with them? How often are you visiting them? Just different things I mean, obviously this is questions from a business standpoint, not from a general consumer standpoint.
Right.
So,
yeah. Cause I mean, I think what you're saying is that as a person who distributes coffee, you've done what you feel like is comfortable to do the research and whatever, but then it's also other people's responsibility to like fact check it or to dive deeper if they want to, type of thing. Yeah, definitely. Cause especially, right now there's, in the last month, I've seen maybe 4 or 5 new coffee businesses pop up, like small little micro roasters. And I mean, who knows where they're getting their coffee from? I'm sure it's good, but yeah, you always want to know like where is it coming from? Right.
Where does it trace back to? So that is kind of a high level overview of the very beginning, the cultivation and the harvesting. I didn't go into like the actual harvesting of it. That probably requires an own episode of its own, because like, and same to how California has a very large agriculture industry, and we have a ton of migrant farm workers, and in coffee it's much of the same too. So when we went to Costa Rica for I forget what they call it, a trip to visit the farms, and we were asking about the harvesters, they tend to come from countries neighboring Costa Rica, and they are paid like pennies on the dollar. And to actually pick the coffee off of the trees is pretty labor intense.
I don't think I've ever seen that. You know how like when they show California workers like picking the berries or the almonds or whatever, right? Like I don't, or tomatoes, you know, like I don't think I've ever seen videos showing like what that looks like.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
I think it's part of it is also just like you're not even aware of the labor that goes into it. Like you have like I know me eating a strawberry on like maybe somebody picked it and that whole process, and so you can stop and think and be like, oh, I wouldn't be having this strawberry and all the work that this person just did to pick one little strawberry for me. I don't think I've ever thought about that with coffee.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's common.
Yeah.
Most people don't, because especially when you think about the history of coffee in America, it really became popular, I want to say, after World War II. And we were in the midst of industrialization. And of course, no one's going to highlight the migrant workers, the laborers that are doing all of this work. And the type of coffee that we were drinking, it's giving like Folgers. So
Yeah. I'm like, I wonder where Folgers does get their coffee from.
yeah, I have no idea, actually. I've never looked into it. I never thought to. But yes, just like now putting more light on it.
Yeah.
I think specialty coffee, and also because we're having an influx of people of color getting into the coffee industry. And I think that's what's really changing the narrative as well. So you had this first wave of people coming into specialty coffee who had the resources to come into coffee, and they were fed up and were like, we're going to highlight these farmers, these laborers. And then you had kind of, obviously with time, things usually get cheaper. And so it's cheaper to start a business. And so then you had people of color coming in, Latinos, Black and African Americans, really everyone. I'm thinking about local brands here, like Filipinos, like Monster Coffee. They really started getting into their coffee business and highlighting coffee from their own lands.
Yeah.
And usually, I mean, obviously everyone runs their business differently, but usually these people come in and they want to uplift the communities that are providing these products and these services. So there's just been a big change in coffee overall. But yes, definitely try to figure out where your coffee is coming from. Remember, someone picked it, just like how they picked a strawberry or a blueberry. Like, it's very intense, and there's a lot of labor and love that goes into these things.
Yeah, and you might not be able to enjoy your beloved coffee at a low cost anymore because it's going to be it's imported. Like, I don't even think we have coffee here in the United States besides like Hawaii.
We have Hawaii. We have like one farm here in San Diego. I think they're in like Encinitas or something like that. But our climate's not built for growing coffee like how in these other countries are. And usually things are more expensive here. So the labor's more expensive, the water's more expensive. There's just all kinds of things. And so even if we do have the ability to grow coffee here in the States, it's usually going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I mean, that's not the primary reason of why we import coffee, because obviously coffee tastes different from every region, but the coffee outside of the US is generally cheaper than anything we'll find here, which I know Hawaiian Kona coffee is usually one of the more expensive coffees that you're going to get.
Right. Yeah.
If you have questions about the tariffs and episode and stuff like that, go look at our tariffs episode.
Previous episode.
Yeah, we talk about it a little bit, but that's just one of the things. Yeah, your coffee is going to be more expensive in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
We'll see how these tariff battles go. Okay, and so now we're going to jump into the processing and the roasting of coffee, which is what really brings out the flavor of it. So coffee grows on trees as this little like cherry. It's like a little red seed, a ball. The red on the outside is this like skin, the mucilage that you peel open, and it reveals these usually 2 little seeds in the middle. And so those 2 seeds are in the middle are what actually ends up in your coffee cup. There are times, this is like going into the science of it, but usually the seeds in the middle will split into like 2 halves of a coffee bean. And so that when you normally see a coffee bean, you'll see kind of like a rounded portion and then like a flat top that has like a crack down the middle.
Right.
That's normal. They have what is also they're called pea berries, and essentially the seed in the middle don't separate. So it's just one like whole piece. And that in itself has a different flavor than like the coffee beans that are split. And roasting is a whole nother method of I don't like pea berries because they're very complicated.
I was wondering that.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough experience with pea berries to like really do a good job to do it justice. We have done it once before and it came out phenomenal, and I tried to repeat it and I was having such a hard time. But yes, so the moment that the coffee cherries become something more is when we introduce different processing methods. So when you're taking out the seeds from the cherries, you're taking out the actual coffee beans, it usually goes into this other process. Sometimes they will wash them, and that will help take off some of the extra mucilage, the extra skin that's on the outside. And sometimes they'll just put them straight out into the sun and just dry as they are. Other times they'll put them into water sometimes they'll mix in other things. Right now, a lot of people are experimenting not washing. It's called anaerobic. I'm forgetting the full name, but it's called anaerobic, and you're essentially fermenting these beans with other products. So people will throw in like pineapple, or they'll throw in like mango or cherries, whatever it is. And so that's one way of kind of imparting the flavors of like these fruits into the coffee bean itself.
Cool.
Yeah. So some of them are quite fun. Some of them do turn out really good, and you're like, wow, this tastes like juice. And I have no idea how it tastes like juice. Sometimes they'll have more wine flavor, which is kind of crazy when you think about like having coffee that tastes like wine. But yeah, they're magicians. So there's a lot of different ways that you can process the coffee, and the way that you process it will also affect the flavor of your cup of coffee.
So it goes, somebody picked it, they crack the little berry open, they get the little seeds out, and then you said there's like a sludge over it?
Yes.
Right? Like a white thingy?
Yeah, like a sticky little...
Like a cow bean type thing?
Yes,
Like a little moco around it?
Yes, yes.
So then from there, they soak it in some sort of way. And then
they will soak it.
Maybe they soak it. And then they'll dry it out. Okay.
Yeah. No matter whether they're soaking it or they're fermenting it, or they skip that process entirely together, it will always go to some kind of drying stage. And usually the drying stage is like, sometimes they'll have above ground tables with mesh, and they'll put everything there for it to dry. Sometimes it just goes straight on the floor and it just dries in the sun. And then they'll like, comb, like brush things around to make sure it gets even drying and all of that good stuff. But yeah.
If you're watching the video version of this podcast, if I feel like I have the time and the capacity, I'll throw in some pictures of like the coffee beans, and like that whole, like what you're saying. So I have a visual, like.
Yeah, I can send you some pictures. I think we might have some from the farms that we visited in Costa Rica too, but Google will have them for sure. But yes. Okay. So so that's the first part of processing coffee, is when you're processing it on the farm. And then the second part of processing coffee is the actual roasting of it. And roasting it, I want to equate it to like baking. So you are introducing heat to the coffee to remove all of the water that is being held within the beans itself. So you're drying it out essentially. And a lot of specialty coffee roasters put emphasis into the roasting process of it, so that like the bean, how it's processed, where it's grown, will sometimes dictate their approach to the roasting. Because it's just kind of like with baking, it's very much a lot of like chemistry and physics, and also I think just a lot of intuition. Like you have to really dial into the bean.
Right. Yeah. It's like cooking. Like the more you cook, the more you start using your own like intuition.
Yes. Yeah. And so specialty coffee roasters will take on a different approach to highlight the bean itself. Whereas in the past, before we had specialty coffee and we just had coffee for the sake of having coffee during the industrialization, a lot of it was very, very dark. So we call it's a French roast is what most, I would say, Americans are used to. There are other countries also, like I know Italy in the past had coffee that was typically like a French roast, like a dark coffee. And I mean, that's just how it was made normally. But now with specialty coffee in the scene, we're taking different levels of roasting. So maybe it'll be like a light roast, a medium roast, a dark roast, kind of like what Starbucks had.
Right.
But specialty coffee roasters will typically take a more, I guess, standardized approach to it. Whereas like Starbucks, and of course it's all subjective, but even like Starbucks blonde roast is actually quite dark.
That's what I was going to say. That one just came to the top because I feel like I always get a blonde roast.
Yeah, I would always get a blonde roast at Starbucks thinking like, oh, okay, it's going to be like the least, how do you say it? Like least bitter?
Least bitter,
yeah, least bitter, and like not have as much effects on my stomach as their other ones. And then we visited a Starbucks coffee farm and we saw them roasting the blondes, and we asked them, because we're coffee roasters, asked them to what degree they roast it to, and we're like, oh damn, that's actually quite dark. That's not technically a blonde, but I mean, you can call things and market it however you want. So right. Yeah. But like our Guatemalan coffee is our light roast, and that's probably what I would say what a proper blonde would be. But yeah, every roaster will have different definitions for what is their dark roast versus medium versus light. There are some actual terms when you get into the coffee industry, like city plus, full city plus. If you're a super coffee nerd, ask your roaster. They'll most likely tell you which level of roasting it is. For the general consumer, honestly, just ask based on the flavors, because yes, there are some nuances with the amount of caffeine that you're getting from like a light to a dark roast. But if you're taking the time to measure out your coffee through weight instead of like 1 teaspoon, then it won't really matter. And I feel like most coffee nerds will take the time to like have a scale and weigh it or whatever, or some coffee grinders now do it by weight. So they're taking out that step for you. But if you're just like using a teaspoon, just a standard teaspoon from your cupboard to measure out your coffee, then maybe be careful with the light roast, because it will have more caffeine than a darker roast. And that's because a darker roast usually removes more of the water, of the hydration within the bean. So then the weight becomes lighter. So when, so like I mean, I don't know exactly like how to explain the physics of it, but it's just like the light roast will be more, I guess, like dense is the way to put it in terms of caffeine. Yeah, so that's that myth. Like light coffees don't actually have more caffeine. It's just that when you're measuring it, that's kind of where these nuances come from.
Yeah.
So.
I never noticed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Some fun little things behind
I can
coffee.
see my husband Surje as he becomes an old retired man sitting there and like weighing his coffee, like letting it all like, because he actually loves his little cup of espresso and he has a little ritual or whatever. And I think if he had more time, he would nerd out on it.
Yeah, for sure. And I like that you said like he has a ritual about it, because that's really what our coffee is about. Like, it's not just coffee for the sakes of having coffee. I love coffee, and that's great. And there's definitely times where I'm just like, push a button and go. Yeah. But more often than not, that is my time to pour into myself and just to like take that little break. I'm going to take 5-10 minutes, whatever it is, for making a latte, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Right.
So yeah, into the meditation kind of aspect of it. Okay. I don't know how long we've been going for, so I'm going to try to go fast through these because I have a couple more topics. Okay. So
little plug while she's looking.
Yes.
Go to the link below and subscribe to her coffee.
Yes, please join the Surje Coffee Club. We're doing a lot of things for the community this year. So I'm really excited about those. And we just finished a financial literacy workshop last weekend. So please join Surje Coffee Club and follow us on Instagram. Okay, so the last thing, this was a good transition. The ritual of coffee.
Oh, there we go. Look at us.
Perfect. Yeah. So going back to like, coffee isn't just about caffeine. It's about the experience, the connection, and that pause in our day. Even if it's like that pause before you're about to start your day, get into a very crazy day. And there's different ways that coffee can be brewed. So like the Armenian style, similar to the Turkish style, versus like a café de olla that you're going to have in Mexico, or even just like a plain latte. Like they're all brewed differently. Right. Or at home, maybe you'll have a French press or a pour over or a drip coffee, because I know we all love our drip coffee machines.
Or the Nescafe.
Oh yeah, the Nescafe. I mean, I have my own qualms with instant coffee, but I will say it's gotten a lot better over the years, and I'm starting to see specialty coffee roasters enter that category. So I'm really curious to see what it's going to turn into. But yeah, so, for us at Surje Coffee, we are about building community, building connection, and using coffee as a means to fuel all of that. So it's not so much about the coffee, although we do very heavily prioritize that, because obviously that is our main product. We want it to be good. We want you guys to enjoy it. We want to make sure we're doing our job at roasting it well. But more than anything, we want to connect with other people. So that's definitely one thing that we're really, really pushing into this year for 2025. And as people at home are drinking their coffee either at home or at other coffee shops, some things to think about is, how do you drink your coffee? Are you the kind of person who loves a slow, intentional brew, or do you grab and go? And are you happy with your coffee? So some things to ponder on. And then I'm just going to jump to the end so that this episode isn't too long, because I know some people are like either on their commute or working or whatever it is. So the last thing that I want to touch on is the power of coffee in community, because we just talked about, going from farm to your cup, and there's very many different ways for community to be involved in there. So coffee really is a global connector, no matter which way you put it. Right. Like we said, like coffee is just not grown here in the US, not like it is in other countries. And really, we're getting these products that are coming from other people in their country, and they're pouring so much love into taking care of this plant at the end of the day. And so, giving coffee its own moment, its own time to shine, and really thinking about like all of the work that has gone into it, and how many people all over the world are putting this labor of love into this bean that many of us just kind of drink and don't really think about. Yeah. And when you think about like how connected we actually are, like something so simple as the coffee connects you to people across the side of the world. So it's just something to think about, and, remember that coffee ultimately in the end of it is really here to bring people together, to act as a connector, to offer people's cultures. Like we said, Armenian style coffee is different than like a latte, and really value people's cultures and the community that are powering these things that we get to enjoy every day. And then not forgetting, obviously, you know, the farmers, the roasters, the baristas, the coffee shop owners, everybody who plays a role in shaping the experience that you're having, you know, whether it's like an espresso pod or a latte from your coffee shop down the street, or you're having it at home with your family. All of it kind of plays a part. Everyone plays a part in it, from farm to cup at the very end. So when we first started Surje Coffee, you know, it wasn't just about selling coffee. It's also about building community and remembering that every coffee that we serve is an invitation to slow down, to connect, and to be part of something bigger. So one thing that we love to do and that we encourage people to do is think of, who have you shared a great coffee moment with?
That's a nice question. Yeah. I mean, me and my husband like a good cup of coffee together. And clearly when we have coffee, that's great. When you make me cups of coffee. And it is one of my love languages. Like,
nice.
like it's my kids' love language too. Like we have an actual tradition that every time there's a holiday, the first day that they get out of school, or like the first holiday, whether it's Christmas break, spring break, whatever break, we go to our little local coffee shop down the street, just right around the corner. And yeah, and that's like our thing. The kids are like, they don't even ask, like they just know, like, this is what we're doing, and then they get all happy, and then we go, and yeah, my kids really do enjoy that coffee atmosphere, that coffee experience, and it really does like bond us. My son, we go out for coffee dates. He doesn't live with us anymore, but yeah, it really is a bonding, full-on bonding. And for some people like me, it's my love language. One of my love. Well, to me, it's like food, right?
Yes.
But it's also spending time. Like, you know, we sit down and we have it does spark that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, like we even wait sometimes until like our coffee comes, and then all of a sudden we all just start talking. Like there's something about that little cup that's like,
yes.
And I think that is that energetics of that cup, where it's like, it is like yeah, I do feel like that's an energetic, high intense energy that just naturally gets people to start communicating with whoever you're with, you know, and having cups of coffee.
Yes. I love that. That's great.
And I love that you have your space. Hopefully you get more spaces.
Yes. We do plan to have more locations. In the meantime, you can find us in downtown El Cajon on Main Street, inside of an art gallery. It's called Surje Coffee at the Gallery. But if you can't visit us, then I highly encourage you visiting your local coffee shops, local coffee roasters, especially right now in this time with the tariffs and inflation. Things are just getting harder for smaller businesses. And so if you can support a small business, a local small business in your community, do it.
Another thing to think about, because we are on the like almost of the DEI stuff going on, and you know, where you would normally go to like Target or I don't know, whatever other stores that decided to get rid of their DEI programs, you know, then you're going to want to start sourcing from like, oh, okay, now let me reroute this, because that's what I've been doing. I'm like, okay, well, let me not go to Target anymore, and how can I figure out, you know, the things that I usually would get from them, and it's actually made me go back to like, okay, let me go back to some small business, like. Nice. You know, neighbor, backyard type community that I know has whatever A, B, C, and D, like eggs, because we know eggs is an issue right now, but even like coffee, right? Like it's like, okay, put your money where your values are. Yes. And so even, you know, supporting shops like Val's is something like to even consider and think, because, you know, then now that company can do more with the money they have in their pocket and support initiatives and things like that are just going to go away at this point. So start thinking bigger with your dollars and your purchases, and really start thinking in that community aspect of small business. Don't wait till Small Business Saturday. Like, do it now.
Yes, do it now. The slow transition of getting away from the big box realtors, big
retailers.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God.
Realtors.
My language, it's not working today. Yeah, because you're, especially in the United States, I mean, globally, really, but your dollar is your vote, is your voice. And where you spend that dollar really matters. And in this day and age where so many people are not spending as much discretionary income because they simply don't have it because times are changing, then your dollar is even more impactful. And so pour into the business owners, the communities, small businesses that are supporting your communities, because they're the ones who will make the biggest impact and make the biggest difference.
Right. Yeah. Well said. That was a lot of information.
Yes.
But I love it. I mean, there's a lot of things that I didn't even know. So it's like, oh, okay. And I think, having more conversations like this and like diving deeper on this topic, I think would be really fun because, to really like debunk coffee and like make it a little more, like I said, I never saw videos of like farmers picking coffee like on Instagram. Maybe they'll start showing up because they heard me talking, but we'll see.
They're always listening.
Yeah, meta.
Yeah, awesome. If there's any questions that people have, that you have in terms of specific things about coffee, about the farmers, about the coffee cycle in general, the processing cycle, whatever, let us know. Drop us an email, a comment on our Instagram, however you want to get in touch with us. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend, let them know. If you have more questions about tariffs, go to the tariffs episode. We go through in a little bit of detail in that. And
stay connected, hang out with us. And I think a nice ritual to leave off with is, if you're a coffee drinker, then take the time to just give a little moment of gratitude to the hands that picked it, that we have some awareness from our episode today.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. Catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.